What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another great edition of this podcast that is called The Hit. We are back for another great show in store for you. I am Logan Graffia. He is Calvin Rons. And let's get started with some college football. Was gonna talk about LSU first, but my co-host here just played against Clemson, him and the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs, and he actually got to play. When I say play, he actually got on the field against Clemson, the number five team in the nation. So, Calvin, before we get into LSU, touch briefly on how it felt to play against Clemson, Dabo Sweeney playing that stadium that they call Death Valley, which isn't Death Valley, but go uh go ahead and share that experience with us, Calvin.
Man, I'll tell you what, there's the energy there is crazy. Like there's really nothing that I've played in like that. We played against Missouri earlier this year, but Missouri is like 60,000 people. This one's like 85,000 people or something like that. So that's a big difference. That's more than the Superdome. And I've been to plenty of Saints games, so I know loud crowds, but being on the field during crowds that loud is crazy because Missouri was loud, but this one was a different type of loud. Um, and they got a new video board and new lights and stuff, and they did like this crazy, like they turned off all lights. And we was a night game, so it was pitch black in there. People got their phone cameras out with the lights on. It was just wild, and it was actually pretty cool. Like just how everything went pitch black and all the lights and the shows and stuff like that, and just how interactive like their fans are and stuff. Like that's pretty cool place to play and playing against Dabo and the team. I'll tell you what, I don't want to be that guy, but like I don't really think they're like that as a team. So y'all got my insider information there. I think that when they face another ranked team that's top 10, I don't see them winning. Because if you watch the game as a whole, we actually gave them a good fight. It was a one score game at halftime. I think it was like 7-3. Um, we left a lot of points on the board in that first half. We should have probably was up about 21 to 10. Shout out to Logan's cat. He want to hear what's up with Clemson. Uh, but yeah, it was only a two-score game going into the fourth, and uh, I mean they're a really good team, but I don't. They're just not what I thought they were going to be. Um, Maybe that just shows that we're just that good as a group of five team. But man, that's an experience that I'm blessed to have. Um, and something I never really thought I'd be doing. Playing against a top five team in the nation. So yeah, man, great experience.
Well, I'm glad you got to experience that, Calvin, because I mean, we were talking recently about some stuff behind closed doors, and when I am just ecstatic for you that you actually got to play against Clemson of all teams. So I hope this leads to bigger things for you going forward throughout the season. And I agree with you. I don't think Clemson is that good, just like I don't think their quarterback DJ is that good. They all thought he was the, let's just say, the heir apparent to Trevor Lawrence, and he has not looked the part at all. But that's going to be a different topic for another day. But I want to touch in on LSU, and I also want to apologize for my cat Sam for making an appearance. But let's just say that's our third guest for today. Anyway, um, LSU, Calvin. The game started off kind of, bumpy. It was tight niche the whole game
In pure Louisiana sports football fashion,
in
never
pure
started off
Louisiana
good.
sports football fashion, exactly. And LSU was losing the whole game. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say it was 16-3 at the half, or 16 something to that effect. Then all of a sudden, they just exploded. They just came to life. Jane Daniels came to life. The offense came to life. The defense was A1 the whole game. And I mean, you got to be on your toes when you play against a Mike Leach offense, because they are going to let the rock fly in that offense, because it is the air raid. The air raid. People don't understand how hard it is to stop an air raid offense, especially when it's good. Will Rogers ain't nothing to shake a stick at. Because I've even told you I had him in a sleeper as a Heisman candidate. He didn't look like that yesterday. Over the weekend against LSU, he didn't. But I still like Will Rogers. But the way that after the second half, Brian Kelly adjusted and put the LSU Tigers offense in tempo, because we've seen the LSU Tigers offense in tempo and they are just absolutely outstanding. And they absolutely just, once they got on a roll, once they got on a roll, was like I'm sorry about that.
What's up, Sam?
Once once they got on a roll, it was home free for LSU. Uh, at one, like I said, LSU was losing the whole game. It was like 16-3 at the half. Then all of a sudden, 31-16 was the final score. Mississippi State didn't score any more points. LSU just put it on them. So, I want to get your quick take on that on the LSU game, and then we'll move into some Saints football. So, do you think going forward that if LSU can play like they did in the second half against Mississippi State, the rest of the season, do you think they can beat, say, an Auburn or even more SEC opponents going forward?
I think Auburn's definitely a possibility. I mean, Auburn's not really that great right now. Shout out to TJ Finley. um, I mean, I know how y'all feel about TJ Finley over there, but um,
I didn't like them.
I mean, yeah, that's the general consensus of what I heard by everybody down there. But um, I mean, Mississippi State, they're one of those teams. Like they're gonna have good players, but they're just one of those teams, kind of like how A&M used to be, where they're boiling that line between good and just being an upset team, like a team that has the best chance of upsetting you. They're like trap game team. So you handle business against a trap game team, which is always good. You don't like starting off slow like that. But you know how I feel about adjusting. If you show me that you can adjust, that's a mark of a good team. Um, I'm really starting to doubt that LSU is going to hit the high end projection mark that I have for them if everything went right, because not everything's going right now. Um, you might be looking at 7, 8 wins at this point, just how they're looking objectively. Um, but when it comes down to some more like ranked opponents and like top 10 teams, like if you have to go in there and play Georgia or Alabama or I mean, I think y'all might be able to do something with Clemson, just maybe. There's just teams like that. I think it would be a really tough stretch and a tough road because you can't if you're playing Alabama, for example, you can't start off like that. I mean, Alabama's going to hang probably about 35 on you if you do that. Um, I'm just a little concerned, but I think this team's they're getting better every week, and that's just all you really need to see. As long as they're getting better, you might even set up something for next year. But Jaden Daniels fought. That's what you love to see out of your quarterback, not giving up. He fought to the end, and he showed himself to be a warrior. So, um, yeah, man, that's what I got on LSU.
Well, I mean, I'm a huge Jaden Daniels fan. I mean, when he was at Arizona State, I mean, I was a fan of Arizona State because Herm was there. He just recently got fired, but
Shout out.
love it. Love everything about Jaden Daniels. I've loved this game from the beginning, and he is show. I mean, in a Brian Kelly offense with Mike Denbrock, he's showing he's development. I love what I'm seeing. Now, what I don't want to see him running all the time though, because that just tells me coverage is good. But I don't, because I mean, you don't want to see your quarterback get banged up like that or hit all the time. Now, I love that he's mobile, because in this offense you have to be mobile. I just really love his game, and I think LSU can get 9, 10 wins, 9 wins in the regular season, and then that one bowl game when I think we can make a bowl game gives you 10. So I would hit my 10 game projection. I mean prediction. So let's get into some Saints, Calvin. Let's get into it. It was not pretty against Tampa, and on the last podcast, I think I told you the one thing that worries me is the Tampa front seven, the D line and the linebackers. Now, I wasn't expecting Tampa's secondary to be as good as they were. they pleasantly surprised me because I mean they don't have household names. I mean Carlton Davis, Lester Dean, or is it or no Jamel Dean? I think that's correct.
Hmm.
That's how I. That's how you
Antoine
know that.
Winfield is a dog though.
Antoine
He's the
Winfield
one.
is a
He's
dog.
the guy back there that's a dog.
Oh, he's just like his dad. I'm telling you, man. Just like almost looks like his dad. But let's talk about something that I saw coming, and everyone kind of jumped on me last week when I didn't even say two words, just like I didn't say two words on social media after the game this week. So going into this game, sitting next to my dad, I said this is going to be the game where we see classic Jameis. Without Kamara, we have not with Kamara being out, Saints have not won a single game when Kamara did not play. I don't know the tally total, but it's something like 0 and 4 and or 0 and 5 right now. Now, we was looking good up until, three interceptions and the third one wound up being a pick six that basically sealed the game. I was reading something in the sports group I'm in on Facebook, Calvin, and it kind of made sense. One, Pete Carmichael, I don't think is the guy because someone made a good point, and I actually agree with it. With Pete Carmichael, you will see a lot of 2019 Jameis. That's why you're seeing. That's why his touchdown interception ratio right now is 3 and 3. I mean, it's very inconsistent, and you saw. And he shouldn't have been out there anyway. I just want to put that out there. Jameis shouldn't even be out there right now. He should be benched right now because he's got a broken freaking back. That's poor coaching right there. That's like vintage Dennis Allen right there. That's like Oakland Raiders Dennis Allen right there. Why are you putting your quarterback out there with a broken freaking back? Come on now. Come on now. I mean, that's very questionable decision making right there. So the one thing I want to do is I just want to take a drink of this.
Oh, what's that you drinking there, Logan?
It- That's some delicious tea I have to drink and sip on because I kind of have to brag about I was right about something and I was right kind of right about him. I keep telling folks he is not the guy, and there's a few people I just want to shout out real quick, because apparently I'm always wrong in their eyes, and I don't know ball. Let's see, there's Chase Heimel. I mean, and I love all these guys. I wanted to say everyone I'm shouting out, I love all of y'all, but it's just like I gotta shout you out. Let's see, there's Chase Heimel. There's let's see, there's a few. There's just so many to name. There's Cliff, my boy from Chalmette. There's almost everyone in the Elite Sports Talk group. Oh man, there's so many. Oh yeah, Jermaine Kelly, who everyone here is just all in on this guy. Like they're more all in on him than they are on the team. That's where I have a problem. And let me just say this: I was talking to a medical professional yesterday, the other day, who's actually works for Oshner, who sponsors the Saints, by the way. And this medical professional has been in the medical field longer than you and I have been alive, and then been in the field longer than any of those people that I mentioned have been alive as well. So she was telling me he is one hit away from being paralyzed. You can't play around with a broken back, Calvin. You get hit the wrong way in that back, especially when everyone kept saying, "Oh no, he can't injure any worse." That's what they reported. Now, according to this medical professional that I talked to, one bad hit away from being paralyzed, or one dirty hit from being paralyzed, Calvin. I don't think I understand this is his last shot. I get it. But are you really going to risk your basically being paralyzed because of it? I mean, we saw his back had to be an issue because he was making throws that weren't accurate. I mean, I'm going to actually just say the back maybe was causing some of the horrible throws, but he shouldn't be out there. He really shouldn't, Calvin. It's very dangerous for him to be out there. I don't want to see the man paralyzed. I don't want to see the man hurt. I know everyone thinks I'm wishing for him to be hurt or under the ground and whatever or in the hospital. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see no injuries. I really don't. I want to see this man succeed. I want to see everybody succeed. I don't hate not a single person. I don't. I don't hate Jameis. Everyone says I do. I don't. I want to see this man succeed. He plays for my team. I want to see us raise another Lombardi. People think I think differently. I do not. I really am worried about this man, Calvin, because it's a back. I've always been told, even by my old high school coach, you mess up your back, you're finished. Can't do nothing. You're done. So I don't want to see the man hurt. I think next week against the Carolina Panthers, it should be Andy Dalton going forward until Jameis's back is completely healed. And I know I'm going to catch flack for that, but I don't care. I don't want to see the man hurt any more than he already is because he was already recovering from a blown out knee. Now he's got 4 fractures in his back. Come on now, man. That's what's making me angry because I don't want to see the man hurt. I already know I don't really care for him as a player, but him as a person, I don't want to see him in a damn wheelchair, Calvin. I don't. I want to see the man after he's done playing football be able to walk and do everything. That's where I want to say, Dennis Allen, that was a poor coaching decision on your part. So going forward, until Jameis is healed, put Andy Dalton in. So that's my little rant, and I want to just let you take the mic from here, Calvin, and get your thoughts on the whole entire game.
So I'm gonna work a little backwards here. So as far as like being one hit away, I mean if you really want to think about it, everybody's really one hit away from being paralyzed. I mean look what happened to Ryan Shazier. I mean that guy was perfectly fine, perfectly healthy, and just one. It was a normal tackle attempt, and now he he couldn't walk for a year or two. And by the grace of God, he's walking now, but it could have been worse. He was paralyzed. Um, I do agree that it was really poor coaching on Dennis Allen's part, or whoever authorized the go ahead to let him go out there. And I knew going in that, the inaccuracies. Once I saw really his first inaccurate pass, that was a really routine throw that I've seen him make. I'm like, this the back, and I'm not going to put too much stock in his game because I think you say the game turned the interceptions. I don't think that's when the game turned. I think the game turned when because you said with the front seven for Tampa Bay being great. I don't think they were that good. I actually think our offensive line whipped their ass for the majority of the game. We were actually getting a lot of good push in the run game. Tony Jones was getting good runs. Dwayne Washington had a good run. Mark Ingram was running the ball really well. We're in the red zone. We're about to punch it in to get 10 points here. Put 10 on the board. Make the score, I think, like what, 10 zip going into half or something like that. And Mark Ingram fumbles. And we know as clear as day when we were up by 10 points or close to 10 points with Drew Brees in 2021 or 2020, whatever year it was, and we were in the red zone or driving really well, and then some man named Jared Cook decides to fumble the ball. You remember what happened after that. We just completely lost it. Momentum, done. Lost it. We lose the game by like 10. And guess what? Guess how many points we lost this game by? Just about that. So I think Mark Ingram fumbling that ball. And Mark Ingram, I want to give a shout out to Dennis Allen for this because if I'm a coach, I'm doing the same thing. Mark Ingram didn't really touch the field after that. And that's how I felt too. You're not coming back. And this is a team that you're not doing that on. Um, you're not going to fumble like that and then expect to get back in the game. I'm just sorry. You're just not. Especially when you're 2 for 2 now in fumbling in games. I can't have that. I would rather put Taysom Hill at running back than continue to see you fumble like this all the time. Um, but and then you get the absolutely heinous ejection from Marshawn Lattimore. Really, once that happened, I knew it was done because Marshawn really holds the defense together a lot more than people think, and I think you've seen that. There was really no reasons for him to get ejected. You're not going to eject somebody for instigating stuff because if that's the case, you might as well take out Tom Brady, take out Leonard Fournette because those are the guys that also started it to where it got physical. So, because Tom Brady didn't have to turn around and say anything to Marshawn, and Leonard Fournette did not have to come around and push Marshawn after that. It didn't have to happen. So, you got to take those guys out too. Now, Mike Evans just got suspended for a game. Shout out to him. Y'all know how I feel about Mike Evans. I don't like the man at all. Um, I don't think Marshawn should have been ejected for that. But once those two things happened, and then we saw that drive where there was just two disgusting calls by the refs that on third downs when the Saints got off the field, really three calls because we had 12 men on the field on the fourth down. So three calls in one drive that kept their drive alive, kept the Bucs drive alive. And that just felt like the straw that broke the camel's back because in those type of games where it's low scoring, really the smallest mistake opens the game up. And that's what happened. That touchdown to Rashard Perriman, I don't know why PJ Williams just turned around so early and just lost, like he lost it. He lost his leverage. He lost a step. Don't understand how it happened because it was good coverage up until that point. It just felt like too much. And with this offense, it feels like last year that if a team went up 7-zip, we're gonna not win this game. It feels like every touchdown is worth 14 points on our offense. And I think I'm sitting there wondering about Pete Carmichael because the offense looks really good when we're down, it's really terrible when the score is tied or when we're up. And I don't really understand it. And I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and get mad at James. I mean, I am mad at James for throwing interceptions, but you saw it click with James just like that. He's forcing passes that should not have been made. He's forcing it because he's trying to make something happen. And I mean, we saw it out of Drew Brees sometimes. Obviously, Drew Brees ain't throwing three of them back to back to back, but we've seen him do it where he's trying to make something happen. We've seen it in the Bucs game. We've seen it in the Vikings game. He's just trying to make something happen, and it's an interception. So I just think the way that the game was going at that point, Jameis just tried to make something happen. I'm not going to take up for him because it was a terrible performance by him. I don't think he needs to be in as far as his back. I mean, I don't think that all those people that you shot out, I don't really think they're bought in into James because it's James. I think they're just bought into him because he is our quarterback. And whoever's my quarterback, I'm going to have to support him. I was the biggest Trevor Simeon fan when he was starting, and whoever's going to be my next door quarterback, I'm going to be a fan of them too. But I, I am pleased with the offensive line, but I think there's one thing that people aren't talking about enough, and that's our defensive line as a whole. We have one sack in 2 games, and that one sack that we got was not any product of us getting, I mean, it was a good pocket push, but Tom Brady had an open lane. And he just fell. He's old. That was him being old. He fell, and Shy just touched him, and that's a sack. So I mean, I, I, it worries me because I even tweeted this. I don't know if you saw the tweet. We passed up on Lamar Jackson in 2018. We traded 2 first-round picks to draft Marcus Davenport, who ever since then has not lived up to 2 first potential. And honestly, I don't really think there's a lot of ends on this planet that are worth 2 first, unless you're Myles Garrett, Joey Bosa, TJ Watt, and anybody like that. And there's not many of them. You see how many I named? Like 4, 5. There's not many of them. Trey Henderson ain't even worth 2. And he gave you 16 and a half last year. So I think this defensive line, it concerns me because I'm starting to wonder how well our drafting is with these defensive ends. Marcus Davenport has not produced. He's just iffy. Sometimes he's on, but that's not a lot. Um, and Peyton Turner, what the hell is he doing? I'm not getting any type of anything out of this man in the run game, the passing game. There's no point in putting him out here. And I mean, the guy shouldn't have been a first round pick in the first place. We take a chance on him, and now he's kind of looking like Clelin Ferrell, when the Raiders drafted him. I mean, it's looking like a waste of a pick. And it makes me, wonder. And then you got Marcus Williams over here with 3 interceptions in 2 games, making me really wonder, like, and Honey Badger ain't been looking the best. It's really starting to worry me that maybe we didn't make the right calls this offseason. Justin Evans was kind of getting cooked a little bit every now and then. I think he's fine, but I'm really starting to see the effects of Quan being gone, Chauncey being gone, Marcus Williams being gone. I've seen the communication errors break down. I've seen it. It's happening. And they need to get it together quick. I still think the defense is going to be fine. I still think they're going to be top 5. They just need to get it together. And God damn it, we need to see something out of this D line because everything else is going to fall down if we don't see anything. Um, AK, please get better. We need you out there. I don't know what happened between Tuesday and Wednesday because he practiced Tuesday and then all of a sudden Wednesday he's a DNP and ends up not playing this week. Um, and as far as Pete Carmichael, I think I need to point this out too real quick. I'm looking at the offensive sets and it's really telegraphed. If you notice on the run play, we have Marquez Callaway, Jawan Johnson out there. When we're passing, we have Olave, Landry, MT out there. I think that needs to change. I honestly don't think that there should be any point in this game or in any game where Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, and Jarvis Landry are not on the field. One of them has to be on the field at all times. Someone has to be on that field. There has to be a combination where at least one of them is on the field. And I don't get why Pete Carmichael is having Marquez Callaway, a guy who's supposed to be fourth or fifth on this depth chart, running routes normally. Like it shouldn't be happening. And also, Adam Troutman, once again, an absolute no show in the passing game. And it's, I don't want to be like the Falcons and draft a damn tight end in the first round. But I mean, when are we going to find a tight end that's good and consistent? We haven't had one since Jimmy Graham. And I mean, you've seen the Mike Gesicki trades. They ain't trading Mike Gesicki now. You see how that Dolphins offense is rolling. Yeah. Tua Tagovailoa is putting up 6 TDs. Is Tua better than Jameis now? I mean, I don't think I ever would have been saying that statement.
Uh, I mean, after yesterday, and then people give me flack all the time when I talk about James because they say you can't be bad and throw for 5,000 yards. Well, I mean, no, you can't, but you also can. Gave new meaning to a 30 for 30. I gotta bring that up. I mean, you take out, those 30 interceptions and you add them to, you take away the 30 and maybe add like 10 more to that stat line, like 10 more to the touchdown stat line, and then I'm fine with it. If he's just been, you take away that 5,000 yard season from Jameis, no one has anything else to say. I feel like that's something that needs to be said. You take away that 5,000 yard season, what do you have? You have a average quarterback, Calvin.
Now, this is also what I'm gonna say about that too, because I know I see on Twitter people are kind of calling for James' head. Look, I'm a very patient man.
I am too.
I've seen the Saints be bad for a long time. I've seen us have heartbreak. I'm a patient man, and I mean I'm a Pelicans fan. We ain't winning anything, so I can wait. But at some point, I think you, yeah, we don't have a first round pick this year. I don't believe. So
We
people are
don't.
saying you get a quarterback. Well, what quarterback you getting? You're not getting CJ Stroud. You're not getting Bryce Young. And I mean, other than those two, I mean, who else is really worth a damn to get? Jimmy G is looking like he's going to be a 49ers lifer because guess what? Trey Lance is not it, and Trey Lance is out for the season. And I know
Well,
how you feel
yeah, it kind of
about that.
disappointed me because I would have loved. I'd love to have Jimmy G right now. He's a winner. Jimmy G's a winner. He's been to a Super Bowl. He's been to an NFC Championship. He has only 18 losses on his resume. And I know people are going to make the excuses that it's all his defense, but no, the offenses with the 49ers under Shanahan have been great. We've seen it. They've beaten us in the dome with Jimmy G, George Kittle, Debo Samuel, all them guys, and we've seen it. Jimmy G is a winner. I want to say he's like 45 or 48 and 18 as a starter. 18 losses and over 40 wins, Calvin. That's a winner to me. He lost a Super Bowl. He lost an NFC Championship. That he actually almost beat. They actually almost won against the Rams, who went on to win the Super Bowl. I mean, you don't, I'm just absolutely baffled as to what people are seeing. People think I'm blind, but watching the game yesterday, I knew it was going to happen with Jameis. It was bound to happen. Now, I want to say this: Carolina is a game that we should win. If we don't, and he struggles again, Calvin.
Maybe we need to start raising some alarms a little bit.
Yes.
Because I've said it last week. Don't start raising the alarms yet. And even now, I'm gonna say it now. I mean, this is the Bucks. They're a good team,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not the Bucks that we've seen, last year or the year before that. And I do still believe this. I do think the better team lost yesterday. The Saints lost. The Saints showed me they're a way better team than the Bucks. They did. Even with everything that we got going on, we still are the better team. It's just a lot of things didn't go our way. We didn't capitalize on opportunities because you don't hold a bad team doesn't hold Tom Brady 3 points at halftime. That's just
I mean,
fact.
that's true. I give him that. Our defense is. I never really had worries about our defense that much. The only two places I had worries at on the defense, which was at count D-line defensive tackle was my third worry, and my top three was offensive line, quarterback, and defensive tackle. And then it moved from offensive line, quarterback to linebacker depth. And right now, I think I'm okay where we are with linebacker because Demario, Hall of Famer in my book. Then you got Pete Warner, who might be the next Scott Fujita. I mean,
He's going to be the next guy that is going to be a star on this defense that we're going to let walk
oh
because we
yeah,
can't pay him.
that's not even a
I
bold
I
prediction. That's going to
I
happen.
I see it now, but I think right now D line is my biggest concern, man. They turn it on too late all the time now. For the last 3 years, we've seen them turn it on just way
I
too
just,
late.
I just want to say this. This has got nothing to do with the defense. It's got all to do with the offense. The last two games against the Bucks, and I know with Pete Carmichael as the league play caller, and I know last year with that, what was it, 9-0,
Nine
Calvin, when we
zero.
nine
With Dennis
zero
Allen as the head coach,
exactly. This game we only scored what 10.
we haven't scored more than like 14 all season.
So let me just say this against the Bucks with Dennis Allen as the acting head coach and Pete Carmichael as the acting offensive coordinator. We have scored a total of 19 points against the Bucks the last two times we played, Calvin. Nine with that Taysom Hill game, which I get. Everyone was hurt. We was playing with duct tape, a duct tape team, but is what it is. Score 10 points, Calvin, yesterday or Sunday, whenever you watch this. That's a problem. That is a problem. And everyone kept saying, "Oh no, he's going to Pete Carmichael. We're going to have the 2011 Saints back. We're going to go 17-0. Jameis is going to go throw for 6,000 yards. Oh, Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, and Chris Olave might be the first receiving trio to have over 1,000 yards or something and all this. Da 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 da." This is not me hating. This is just me repeating everything that all these people that I name, all these people from social media and people that I know that I mentioned earlier. I'm not trying to throw them under the bus. I'm just saying that's what some of those people sound like. And I got so much love for these people that I mentioned. But I just want to say that look, I've always owned up when I'm wrong. Please do the same. That's all I'm saying. And that's what aggravates me is when I'm right, the whole social media, virtual pitchforks and torches comes after me. And I don't even have to say anything. I don't. They just come after me, and it's just they. Someone said you would rather see your point be proven right than see your team be successful. That is the complete opposite way that I think. Because I've even told Calvin on this podcast that I'm begging people to watch so you can actually hear me speak. I'd rather be proven wrong than actually be proved right. Because this is my team. I've loved this team since I was born. I was born in '96, and I still have recollection of watching my first Saints game with my dad in that living room down the hall in 1999 when Mike Dicker was the head coach. I'm not going anywhere. My fandom isn't going anywhere. I will root for this team until my last dying breath and maybe even in the afterlife. Not going anywhere. Calvin can vouch for that because I know he's not going anywhere either. I just want people to not only be considerate, but also just be man enough to admit when they're wrong. Don't come at me when I'm actually right because it makes zero sense. It just shows that you're a poor sport. Because I mean, I'm always been a good sport when I'm wrong. Because I've had people in my mention since we re-signed Jameis. I've had people in my mention say some horrible things to me. I've even shown Calvin a few of them, and he can vouch that they were horrible. Still here, didn't go nowhere. But I've been man enough to admit when I'm wrong. Just like last week when Jameis did well, okay, he threw 2 touchdowns, threw 2 of them, came back and won. Was very happy. My team won. We was 1-0. I'm not happy this week. I'm not. We lost the game. He threw 3 interceptions. The whole team looked awful. Pete Carmichael, and Dennis Allen very much questioning the hires at this point. I know it's only week 2, but I have always advocated that I've always wanted Eric Bieniemy as the head coach here. That's who I wanted, not Dennis Allen. I get you wanted Dennis Allen here because of the defense. The defense looks fine. Offense does not look good. It should look way better than this, Calvin. We have Jarvis Landry. We have Michael Thomas. We have a rookie that was incredible at Ohio State named Chris Olave. We have Eric McCoy at center. We have Ryan Ramczyk. 2 great offensive linemen. What is the problem here? Oh, not to mention, we have Alvin Kamara. We have Mark Ingram. Tony Jones Jr. isn't that bad anymore. What am I missing here? It's just angering me that people don't see the problem. I'm not saying he's the whole problem, but come on now, open your eyes. I'm not
No,
hate. I'm not hating. I'm just speaking facts right now.
the
Take it away,
thing
Calvin.
with Eric B, my biggest concern with it, I think a lot of people, because I was also a little bit on the hype. I was on the Brian Flores train. I'm keeping the bucket, Brian. I was all for Brian Flores, the way he turned around that Dolphins team, and I think we're still. I think the Dolphins are seeing a little bit of a Mark Jackson Warriors type situation, where their coach Steve Kerr is reaping the success of a Mark Jackson built team. And I think Brian Flores, they won like 8 games straight after going 0-7. I mean, that's a hell of a turnaround, and they're still winning. And they're doing it in great fashion now. Will I say that they did make very, 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 very great additions? They did, because I would love to have Toronto Armstead back. Please come back. Um, I mean, I was even on the train of letting Toronto go just because I didn't think he would. He would. I just knew we weren't gonna be able to pay him, and I do think at some point it was time because of his injuries and stuff like that. But he's proving us wrong right now. But it's second game, wait till mid season, we'll see. But anyway, um, I wanted Brian Flores. I wasn't gonna be mad with Eric B, but Eric B has had a head coaching interview with probably half of the league, if not more, and he has not gotten the job. And you can say because he's black. You can say because Andy Reid's really calling the plays, and we all know that's not true. But that concerns me because even even a broken clock is right 2 times a day. A blind squirrel finds his nut eventually. If you have, let's say, 21 teams interview you, clearly you're a high ticket, high market guy that people are looking out for. Why have you not been hired yet? Why do people like Nathaniel Hackett got hired and not you? So I don't know what's going on behind closed doors in these interviews with him, but that concerns me a little bit because if he was so good as a head coach or head coaching candidate, one out of these 21 teams that interviewed you has had to have hired you already. And I think that's something that people are missing. So that's usually my argument against Eric B because there's got to be something that's why people aren't hiring him. But
It's another Sherman
Dennis,
Lewis situation. It's another Sherman Lewis situation from back in the day.
exactly. And I think Dennis Allen, you can go look at my Twitter. I'm okay with the hire. It's a very conservative, safe hire. I'm not really a conservative guy. I don't like doing conservative things. I'm a go big or go home type guy. And if you miss, you swing for the fences. I'm okay with that. If you take a chance on a young guy, kind of like the Rams did with Sean McVay, I would be completely okay with that. And if it fails, I'm okay. I'm fine with it because at least you tried it. But I didn't want to really see the hire internally thing because the Dennis Allen, if I had to put it in NBA terms, the Dennis Allen thing is kind of like Stan Van Gundy. He's not as good of a coach as Stan Van Gundy was. He didn't have the success, but people understand what I'm saying if you're a Pels fan that Stan Van Gundy is not the prettiest choice. It wasn't the prettiest choice. It's a safe choice, and it didn't work out. And I saw this thing on Twitter a couple weeks ago that I think it was before the first game. It said hiring coaches internally all time in NFL history has a losing record by a very numerous margin. And it said that pretty much 80 to 90% of the time, coaches hired internally don't work out. And I hope that we are the exception to the rule. But this offense isn't pretty right now. And even Pete Carmichael not jumping immediately to say, "Oh, I want to be the offensive coordinator. Like I want to be here." It seems like they had to convince him to stay here. Like it looked like
Exactly.
he put his flip flops on, he put his sun hat on, like he was ready to go with Sean Payton. Said, huh,
Hmm.
"Well, hey, Sean Payton's out, Drew Brees out. Hey, I'm ready to go too. I spent my time here just like them, so I'm ready to go." So it doesn't seem like this man really wanted to be back, but the front office had to talk him into being here. I mean, I don't really want a guy that had to be talked into staying here. I mean, you're not bought in if that's the case. And I don't think this offense is right for the offensive potential that we have. I mean, you said we have AK, Mark, you got Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, Chris Olave, and you have a quarterback that's really good with the deep ball. I mean, unfortunately, his back injury showed otherwise, but like he's supposedly really good with a deep ball, medium to deep ball. We're not we're not doing any of that. We're
We're
like
not seeing the accuracy from that neither.
we're not. I think last game you did in the fourth quarter, but this
It's
week
got to be the
no.
whole game. It's got
Gotta
to
be
be
the whole
consistent,
game.
first through
But I,
fourth.
But I keep seeing it, and I said it last week. What was the thing I said that we couldn't see out of this offense this week? I cannot see the offense suddenly change and all of a sudden start doing something when bad things are happening to the team. We can't see it, and remember what I told you. If that happens, we're not winning the game because the Bucs are not. They're too good of a team to do that on. You can do that with the Falcons because they're going to choke, not the Bucs.
I
And guess
told you.
what?
We both said it last week. We lost. We lost, Calvin. I know that's what you was probably gonna say. We
We
lost.
can't do it. And you've seen it. The offense all of a sudden decided, oh, let's go score a touchdown then. I mean, we let's go score. We can do that, right? Like, I mean, we can't keep having that sudden and it happened again. Pete Carmichael opened up the playbook too damn late again. I don't know why he keeps doing this, but it's not okay. And I think I'm not saying run for the hills yet, but
If we
if I
lose
see
next week, it's not gonna be pretty, Calvin. Especially
if
with
I see two more games like this, I think we might need to make a drastic decision and a drastic change immediately.
let me just say this: that the Vikings are the Vikings, Calvin. They actually look really good. Kevin O'Connell has that offense looking really good. Kirk Cousins actually looks good. Dalvin Cook looks good. Jordan Jefferson, of course, looks good. The whole offense for the Vikings looks great. I mean, I'm worried about the Panthers as well because we know they haven't won a game. And who do we always give their first? What team always gives a team their first win? Historically, it's always been the Saints. We are kind of going over a little bit on time, but I just want to get this one point in, and then we can wrap it up. I said this team from the beginning reminds me of the Jim Haslett, Aaron Brooks teams. The defense looks good, but the offense is shaky. That's how those teams with Jim Haslett and Aaron Brooks looked. Right now, it looks just like the 2004 type of Saints that we have right now. And these next two games will be very telling. The Panthers should be a winnable game. The Vikings, I don't see us winning that one. Not against the Vikings. I mean, we've historically we don't do good against the Vikings. The Saints Christmas game with Kamara's 6 touchdowns, that was an exception. Historically, we don't do good against the Vikings. Last thing I want to say is it's getting to be almost not, it's getting close to being the run for the hills, Calvin. I know you're saying you're not ready to run yet, but we lose these next two games, Calvin. I mean, it's gonna be ugly because I still think we get 8-9, 9-8. That's been my original prediction from the get go. I just
Now,
don't I just don't see
I will say that like I said, you 2 more games, and if we see this is my one key that because I feel like Ryan Nielsen they're gonna figure out the defense. They're gonna figure out the D line. God, please figure out the D line. That's coming from a D lineman. Like I know how frustrating it is not getting a sack the whole game. I know, but the key that I like the biggest key for offense that I need right now, and this is going to help you the rest of the season. I need them to sit down with everybody, every offensive staff, every player on offense. I need them to all sit down in a big meeting, and you need to figure out what the hell your identity is. What do you want to do? Do you want to be a run first offense, or do you want to be an air raid or a spread out team? What do you want to do? Because I've seen a mixture of power O mixed with West Coast mixed with air raid. And that all doesn't mix together in a game. It doesn't. You need to figure out what you want to do. We have no offensive identity, and it shows. We don't know what the hell we want to do. Do we want to run? Oh, the run's kind of working. Let's do it. Let's throw it deep. Okay. Well, maybe play action. It's like they're just throwing stuff at a dartboard right now, and I need them to figure this out quickly.
And quickly. Well, I think we said a little bit too much today, Calvin, because we went well over our time limit. But we're going to end it here, and then next week, hopefully, will be a happier occasion for Saints fans. Very happy for LSU fans right now, such as myself. Very happy for Calvin and his playtime against Clemson. With all that being said, I am Logan Graffia. He is Calvin Rhines. We shall see you next time.